Hey guys, in this project and chapter, we're going to be building a user login and registration system. And we're going to use a bunch of different modules. We're going to use MongoDB, which is a NoSQL database. It's actually called a document database, and it stores information in JSON format. All right, and I'm pretty sure it's the most commonly used database for Node.js, or not for it, but used with it. Alright, so the first thing we need to do is install MongoDB. Alright, now we're going to be using a bunch of other things here. We're going to use a module called Passport, which is a user authentication module to help guide us in creating this system. Now, there's a lot to this project, and the reason that I'm doing it so early on is because there's a lot of things in this project that we're going to be using in future projects. So I figured that it's the best way to do it, to just kind of give you, some functionality that you can use in later projects. All right, so what we're going to do first is download MongoDB. All right, we're on a Windows system. So I don't remember the exact URL, so we'll say Windows install. Alright, so I think there is a binary installation. Yeah, let's do this link right here. Alright, and I am on a Windows 64-bit. Yep. So I'll go ahead and download that. And it might take a minute or two. It's 78 megabytes, so. Alright, so we're going to go ahead and open that up. Alright, now before we go through and do the install, I'm going to create a folder to install it in, and I want to do it right in my C drive root. Okay, so there's a few things we need to do to install MongoDB correctly, aside from just go through the installer. So I'm going to create a folder called MongoDB, and inside of that I'm going to create a folder called data. And then in that data folder, I'm going to create another one called DB. And this is where all the data for all of our databases will go. And we also want to create one more folder here and call that log. And I think that should be it. I think it will auto-create the log file for us. Alright, so back to the installer. I'm just going to go through here and I'm going to choose custom. And you can see that the default location is in your program files, but I'm going to change that. And I'm just going to put that right in the where is it, MongoDB folder that I created. Alright, so right here. Okay, now we'll click next, install. Yes. Okay, we're going to click finish, and you can see that it added these the bin folder for us. So now what we need to do is we need to open up a Windows command prompt, and I don't mean the git bash program we've been using. You want to use the CMD. So if I go to the run box here and say CMD, you'll see this cmd.exe, and this is very important. You need to run this as an administrator or you're going to run into problems. So to do that, you want to right click and just click run as administrator. Alright, now we want to navigate to the MongoDB bin directory. So I'm going to do a cd / and that'll bring us to the root of the C drive. And then I want to go cd MongoDB / bin. Alright, and what we want to do here is we're going to run a command to let the system know what folder to use for data and what folder to use for the logs. Alright, so just kind of bear with me and type in what I'm typing in. So we're going to say MongoD, and then we're going to include a bunch of flags here. Alright, the first one is going to be directory per DB. Alright, and then we want DB path, and then we're going to specify the path, which is in our C drive / MongoDB, and then / data / DB. Alright, so that's the data path. The next one is going to be the log path. Alright, and that's going to be in the C drive, MongoDB /log / MongoDB.log. Alright, so it should create that file for us. Alright, and then we just want to include the log append flag. And that's going to make it so that our log files don't get overwritten, they just get appended to. Alright, and then we want to include REST, so we can use RESTful interfaces. And then we want to include the install flag. And what that's going to do is allow us to install Mongo as a service on our machine. Alright, so let's go ahead and run that. And we should be able to start the service now with net start Mongo. Actually, we want to format this with capitals. MongoDB. Okay, now you can see that the MongoDB service was started successfully. So now we have it running on our system. Now, when you deal with MongoDB, there's a lot of different clients you can use to interact with it. It comes with a standard shell program that we can use. So what we want to do is, actually we want to keep that command prompt window open, and we're actually already in the correct directory. So you want to go to C MongoDB bin, or wherever you installed it, and we should just be able to type in Mongo. And if you can see down here the little blinking cursor, that means that we're basically connected and ready to go. And from this interface we can do things like create databases, manage them. We can create collections, which are basically very similar to tables if you're from a relational database background. And in those collections you have documents which are similar to a record in a relational database. Alright, so let's just do a couple simple commands here. To see what database you're currently logged in as, you can just do DB. Alright, and you can see that we're in the test database, which is the default. This comes with MongoDB. If we want to create if we want to show all of the databases, we can just say show DBs, and you can see that actually it doesn't even show the test database for some reason. But let's go ahead and create a new one. And to do that, all you need to do is type in use and then the name of the database. Let's call this node auth. And you can see that we switched to node auth. And if we say show DBs, oh, it's not showing it for some reason. Huh. Well, we'll come back to that. Maybe it has to have some data in it. So we're in the node auth database. Now what we want to do is create a collection. Alright, and we can show all the collections that are in this database with show collections, which we have none. So let's go ahead and do db dot create collection, and we want to specify the name of it, which is going to be users, and you want to use semicolon. Alright, and you can see we get OK, one collection was created. So now if we say show collections, you can see we have a system.indexes, which is just put there by the system, and we have our users collection. And now that we have some data, we should be able to say show DBs, and now you can see that the node auth database is there. Now let's go ahead and insert a record or a document. And this is going to be the actual database we're going to build our project on, our application. So let's go ahead and do db.users. You want to say db dot whatever the collection that you want to deal with. And then we're going to say dot insert. Alright, and what we're going to do in here is include our fields for this document. Okay, so we want to have these curly braces. Remember, it takes the parameters in a JSON format. So the first one, let's see. Well, we need a username. Actually, we'll do name first. So name. We'll just say Brad. I'll use my last name too. All right, so that's one field and value. All right, there are no schemas in MongoDB by default, so we don't have to specify. All right, the users collection is going to have a name, a username, an email, and a password. We don't have to hard code those. We can have one record that has that stuff, and then have another that only has a username and a password. All right, so there's no set schema, and that's one of the really great things about MongoDB is its simplicity. All right, so name, next one will be a username, and we'll just say devuser1. Actually, you know what? These should be in quotes. Okay, these are strings, so they should be quoted. All right, so we have a name, a username. Let's have an email. So I want to put the email before the username. Actually, you don't have to. Just something I like to do. Okay, and we'll just say Brad at techguywebsolutions.com. All right, and then after the username, we're going to have the password. Now, I should mention that right now I'm just going to put a plain text password in here, but you don't want to do that on a production application. You want to encrypt your passwords. It's very, very important that you don't put plain text passwords in MongoDB or any database. All right, so for the password, we'll just say 1234 for now. And I think that's all we need. All right, so let's go ahead and run that. And you can see that we get right result inserted 1. All right, and to show all of the records in your collection, we can say db.users.find. All right, and you can see that we have one entry here with all of the information we provided, but you'll also see that we have this underscore ID field here with this object ID, with this long string. And these are IDs that MongoDB creates for you. You don't have to use them. You can use your own ID here if you want, but for now we're just going to leave it as is. All right, now if you want to see your records in a neater way, in a better fashion, you can say db.users.find.pretty, and pretty is a function that is basically going to make it look a little better. All right, now you can see that each field is now on its own line and it's much more readable. All right, so let's go ahead and create one more user. So I'll just go back to this and just change it around a little bit. Okay, so for name, we'll say John Doe. All right, email. Let's change this to John. Username, let's say devuser2. Keep the password the same. All right, so now if we go ahead and do a find, you can see that we have two records, and the object ID here is obviously different than this entry. Now, if you want to look up more queries and commands, the MongoDB website is a great place to find that stuff. If we click on Docs up here, there's just a ton of information here about the APIs and different data models, things like that. So what I want to show you is how to update a document or a record. So I'm going to search for update, and it's this db.collection.update. Okay, gives you a lot of information here. This is the syntax that you need to follow. But I want to use something called set, and it should be on this page right here. Alright, so this is how we're going to make updates. So for instance, this is a collection called books. Alright, so the first parameter, you're going to specify the condition of the record you want to update. In this case, we want the one with the ID of 1. The next parameter, we're going to, you can ignore this for now, but you want to look at set, alright, and then you want to include the fields that you want to change and the values. Alright, and that will just update these values. And whatever is already in that record or document will stay there. If you don't use this set right here and you just do this, okay, so by default it's only going to keep the fields that you specify in the update. Alright, the rest will be removed. So you want to make sure that you use that set parameter. Alright, so let's do that here in our users collection. Alright, so let's say db.users.update. Alright, and then in here we want the first parameter, which is going to be basically what we want to grab, the field that we want to grab the document by. In this case, let's say the username. Alright, so we'll say username. We want the user with the username of dev_user1. Alright, now the next parameter is going to be the set and what we want to change. Alright, and we can go back and look at this example here. Okay, so we're going to say set, $set. Okay, so $set, and then we need another set of curly braces. And in here, let's go ahead and change the email address. Okay, so email, and we want to specify what we want to change it to. Let's say devuser1@gmail.com. Alright, so we'll go ahead and run that, and we get right result. Let's see, end matched 1, modified 1. So let's go ahead and check that out. We'll do a find here, and you can see that now the user of devuser1, you can see the email has been changed to devuser1@gmail.com. Alright, so that is just a quick way to update fields or documents. So I think that's going to be it for this video. I just wanted to get MongoDB installed on our system and just kind of show you the ropes a little bit, show you the syntax that we can use. We're using this shell here, but we can use these in our application as well. Alright, so in the next video we'll go ahead and set up our application. We'll install Express and all of the dependencies, and we'll go from there.